Arn Anderson not too long ago talk about a fight that you had with Matt Bourne that he said was one of the most brutal fights he ever saw. You ended up biting Matt's lip off. I was wondering if I could get your version of those events.
Sure. We were in a bar. I don't know. I can't remember the exact city. Something tells me it was Wheeling, West Virginia. Um, and it's Flair's favorite. Ric Flair loves to tell the story. But Matt Bourne came up to me. Dick Murdoch was there. Killer Carl Cox. Ric Flair. Just so many of the guys were there. Matt Bourne was new into the WWE, WWF, and he wanted to, I guess, make a name for himself. So he came up to me and he said, "Why are you messing with my girlfriend?" And I said, "Excuse me, Matt. I didn't really know Matt." I said, "Who's your girlfriend?" I didn't know I was messing with your girlfriend. Who's your girlfriend? He said, "Oh, it doesn't matter," or something. He mumbled to me, and I said, "Okay, well, just have a good night." And I don't believe that there's no girls here that I'm messing around with. So if your girlfriend's here, I'm certainly not me. So as I turned, he sucker punches me and the back of the head, and he goes to suplex me from behind. And as he did when I was in the air, I spun around on top of him and wound up on the ground, and he's grabbing my ears and my hair at the same time, and he's trying to bite my nose. So I saw his lip since he was trying to, and his teeth. And so since he was trying to bite my nose, I went ahead and bit his lip off and spit it out. And then I beat him up all I had to beat him up, and I thought the fight was over. So, guys take him somewhere and everybody's having a drink, and all of a sudden, out of nowhere, somebody jumps on my back. It's Matt again. Jumps back in my back. Boom, boom, boom. We start fighting again. Finally, again, it's subdued. Beat him up some more. His head looked like a swollen pumpkin. And I never started a fight ever. But I've been in 6 pretty brutal fights, and I never lost one. Not that I'm not. Believe me, I'm very humble, and I'm not bragging or anything because there's a lot of people that can kick my butt on my best day, and that goes for everybody. So you just never know. That's why it's always better to be humble and just get along with people. And I've always felt like that. I don't feel like I'm better than any fan that buys a ticket or the guy that picks up my trash. We're all equal. We're all human beings, and we treat each other with respect. And that's the kind of life that I've believed in for so long. And then so the third time the bar's getting ready to close. Now this is about an hour. Well, maybe not an hour, about I don't know, a half hour later maybe. And Matt Bourne comes back, and I'll never. Matt Bourne comes back, hits me again from, well, he went to hit me and somebody said something and I turned around and we started rolling again, and boom, all of a sudden I'm trying to drag him to the door and he trips me as I'm trying to drag him to the door, and or I fell, and I think he put his leg out, and which is a good move. Matt was a wrestler before. And so I go down, and as I come up, he's got his finger in my eye. And Uncle Ivan Koloff was sitting there, and he kicked Matt's hand, and he said, "No eyes." Thank you, Uncle Ivan. God bless you. And so that was the end of the story. But that fight went on for probably 15 minutes in total.
Why are the bouncers letting them back in?
What's that?
Why
Why
would the bouncers let him back in if he kept causing that? That's crazy.
I have no idea, Devin. I have no idea.
Now, I don't know if this is true or not, but someone told me you were allegedly also in a scrap with Buzz Sawyer. Is that
Yes,
true? That
yes.
was one of the 6.
That was one of the.
Now, on that show, you talked a lot about your relationship with Matt Bourne, who trained you. Did he ever tell you the story of what was going on with him and Jim Duggan?
He did. He told me that there was an incident in Mid-South where a fan attacked Jim. Matt beat up the fan. The fan wanted to press charges, so they got Matt out of town. And then I think Bill Watts kind of like swept it under the rug with the courts and everything, and somebody got paid off. But there was some sort of issue, whether it was with a thank you or something like that, where Matt felt wronged. Jim, I think, thought he was getting the heat for Matt's actions, and I think it just kind of just a disagreement that just boiled over into 2000, the 2000s, because they had that bizarre match, I guess, shortly before he passed away. What was it? What was your reaction when he passed? Because he was a really young guy when he passed away. It was sad, man, and I know that there's a lot of like circumstances surrounding his death that raise a lot of question marks. But Matt was a really good dude, and he really cared about helping the next generation of people coming up in the business. And he was a hell of a guy, man.
And you mentioned Matt Bourne. There was some incident. Obviously, he passed away recently, but in a match on an independent show where apparently it turned into a little bit of a shoot. Is that true?
Yeah, well, Matt and I, we've had trouble 20 years ago, probably 30 years ago. We had a couple of fights in Mid-South, and I kind of worked him over a little bit back in the day. I was 300 pounds, but the way it was, we were in an independent show. Things kind of boiled over. Matt and I had trouble in the ring. I told the referee, told him, let's settle it in the dressing room, not in front of the people. And I went down in the dressing room, and I was waiting for him to come down the stairs, and he never came down the stairs. And I'm like, what in the world? Finally, the referee comes down, because I wasn't in at 50 plus back then, I wasn't in shape to fight, but I wasn't afraid of Matt Bourne, that's for sure. And he never came downstairs, never came. Finally, the referee comes down. He said, hey, he went from the ring out the fire exit and in his car. He had already taken his bag, all his pictures and everything, and put in his car. So it looked like he was going to try to ambush me in the ring.
How was Matt Bourne to train with? You always hear the stories. He was a pretty wild man.
Oh, well, he was a great guy. He just partied a little too much. He's the one that came out with Doink the Clown. Me and him went to Venezuela, and we wrestled as two clowns, and that was pretty interesting. He OD'd it in 2014 from a drug overdose. His dad was a pro wrestler, and he was a great guy, but his son died before his dad did. A lot of deaths in pro wrestling.
Mike wants to know if you could give a Matt Bourne story.
Well, what kind of stories you want to hear? I know Matt real good. I knew him real good. I hope he rests in peace. He was a great guy. He's like Buzz. He was a little cocky. I mean, they was telling me how not to be cocky, but I mean, they did have a lot of experience on me. So I listened to it, but I could see they wasn't practicing what they was preaching. That's for sure.
Did you ever see him in one of his barroom fights?
Oh, yeah. Matt was crazy. He gets 6 beers in him, he's ready to fight. And, I ain't going to lie, I was about the same. But that's why I haven't had a drink in 31 years, and I don't miss it a bit.
What made you stop drinking? Was there one particular incident?
Just my wife. Yeah. She said she'd leave, and I said, well, I quit. And I did.
Someone wants to know about Matt Bourne. Do you have any Matt Bourne stories? Another guy who really made a name for himself in Portland.
Well, I really do. Matt also was from Oregon and in Portland. And I got to give kudos to Matt. Matt was another guy that helped me out a great deal, saw what I was doing wrong in the ring, would take me back in the locker room and tell me what I was doing wrong in the ring. He would actually show me. You don't let your pride get in the way, and you listen to guys that really want to help you. you learn a lot faster. And Matt was one of those guys to me. Helped me a great deal. He used to come into the bar that I worked at when I was dealing. And before I got into pro wrestling, there was 3 bars that I dealt in, and the man would come to was called the Stone Pony, which is a well-known bar for drugs. And Matt and I met there, along with Dizzy Hogan, who turned into Brutus Beefcake. Most of the guys went there after the wrestling show, and Matt got into a fight there with somebody.
Didn't he fight Brian Blair at one point? But maybe that was Mid-South.
Yeah, he did. In fact, Brian Blair actually beat the living dog shit out of him. I don't know what happened, but I heard from 3. It's like I think when my fight with Mike Sharp, you heard several different people give several different versions who weren't there. And the one person that was there, I think, was just me and Mike. There was a whole locker room full of guys, and King Kong Bundy was one of them that was there. But it's just, once again, Mike, after it was all said and done, Mike went to Vince and said that he did start the fight, and he manned up. We shook hands. He was done. That's just the way it should be, always. And Matt, he was a tough guy. He was an All-American, not All-American, but pretty much state champion or runner-up in high school wrestling. And you had to know Matt to get along with him. I got to know him. He had that doink the clown gimmick. A lot of guys laughed at him, but I seen one of his paychecks one time. He showed it to me. And it was $19,000 for a week. So I don't see anybody laughing at that. So,
He was the best Doink for sure. He got that character over.
You think Doink the Clown would last in today's day and age?
No. And Matt Bourne wouldn't have had a job either because he was too controversial.
Yeah, he did speak his mind, and he was a pretty physical guy.
With Matt Bourne, where do you meet him? Because I always thought he was like a West Coast guy. Like, where do you meet Matt Bourne?
He had moved to New Jersey and actually started working for ISPW. And his first match for Tommy was with me.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah. And we just hit it off. And we went and had the match. And we didn't talk about anything. And after the match, he was like, "Kid, you're great. You're staying at my house tonight." I was, okay, cool. Because I'm going to pick anybody's brain that I can. I got to Matt's place, and he popped in a Bruiser Brody DVD and threw down a bottle of Crown. He said, "We're finishing this tonight." I said, okay. And we sat there and had a bunch of drinks and watched Brody, and I just listened to him talk for hours.
Matt Bourne, was it like knowledgeable? Yes, and like all this other stuff. But did you know of Matt and the Doink character and his history in the business? Did you know all that going in? Okay.
I mean, yeah, anybody who grew up and and tells you that they weren't scared of the original Doink, I'd say is full of shit. So yeah, absolutely.
I thought he was pretty great. The original Doink, pretty great.
Oh, you froze.
Are you still there? You hear me?
You're frozen. You froze. Uh-oh. Now, yep, you're good.
Okay. I was going to say, yeah, no problem there. Yeah, it always happens. But I was going to say, I kind of like the original Doink, though.
Oh, it was amazing. It was absolutely amazing. He was so good in the ring. And what he put into that character, I mean, it just bled through every time he was on screen.
It was so different, though, because cartoony, WWE, but you got this, like, psycho clown who could actually, like, work and move and wrestle. Yep. But it's like, what is this guy all about? It was very confusing as a young fan. It's like, what is this guy all about? He's jokey, and then he's, like, maniacal. It's an awesome character.
Yeah, he was amazing.
when you got with him and you're training with him and you're learning stuff from him, like you said, you're drinking Crown with him, you're hanging out with him and stuff. What's like some other advice he's giving you for yourself and your character? Is it just like the Brody stuff, or is he telling you other stuff like, hey, you need to tweak this, you need to do that? Like, how is he helping you?
It was a little of both. And he definitely passed on a lot of the stuff that Brody had taught him or that he learned being around his dad or around Moondog Maine, or around Pat Patterson as a kid. You know, like Moondog Maine and Pat Patterson and Tony Bourne would ride from Portland to San Francisco and back, and Matt would be in the car as a kid. And so he literally grew up in the business on the road. You know, and you don't really get that a lot anymore. So he had all this knowledge from all these different eras. And it was a lot. He was an encyclopedia of what to do and what not to do and what makes sense and what doesn't.
Almost undervalued or underappreciated a little bit, I feel like, Matt Bourne in the business.
100%.
When you finish up with him, is it just like Taz is next and then it's off to NXT, or like what happens in between?
No, I didn't like finish up with Matt. We were just always very close, even when I was training with Taz. And then Matt would call Taz and like get updates about me. Like,
okay.
Like, because Matt and I just were friends. You know, he was really like an uncle to me. If I can explain the relationship, you know, he was like the cool uncle, and took me on the road with him and showed me a lot of stuff and taught me a lot of things. And he saw the entire industry so differently than everybody else, in very much a Brody type of way, and just made me feel okay to be different and okay to treat it like it was realer than it is. And, you know, because it was, a lot of people weren't taking it serious anymore. And he was very like, if you do, it's going to make you stand out. And it did.